Our next item on our agenda is the SGWASA PFAS Pilot Study Update, summer 2025. And contrary to what social media tells you, we've been working on PFAS and PFAS for several years now. We've been doing studies. You don't just go and make a change to your treatment system without knowing what you're doing. You have to do the studies and find out what works, what doesn't work, what's the best method, and that's all part of the process we're working through and have been working through for quite some time. And now I'll turn it over to our Executive Director, Mr. Scott Schroyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'll ask Chris if you'll just come up to the microphone as well. He's a part of this project and may want to jump in on some of the charts and graphs as well for conversation here. So this is the PFAS Pilot Study Update, the summer 2025 edition. So as the board may recall, earlier this year, I think it was around March, we had consultants from CDM Smith come in and give us an update on PFAS and the PFAS pilot. It was a great presentation, and that presentation is still available on our website for those that want to view that. We're getting towards the end of the pilot study, and I thought it was appropriate to give the board and the public an update on the study and the results where we are. We're making great progress. The study is producing excellent information for us, just as we had hoped, and we'll cover some of that this evening. Consultants are not here with us this evening for a presentation, but they're due up in a month or so when we actually conclude this project, so that you get an overall report on the whole process and a presentation at that time. So, Mr. Gooch, I appreciate you providing a little bit of background for us on PFAS. Just a note that public water systems must comply by April 26, 2029 if PFAS levels exceed limits that are set by the U.S. EPA. These are known as maximum contaminant levels, and they are at 4 parts per trillion at this point. PFAS are often called forever chemicals because they persist in the environment and are found in everyday products like lotions, cleaning supplies, nonstick cookware, and dental floss. Water utilities like SGWASA are passive receivers of PFAS, which enter source waters before treatment. So to address the new regulations on the horizon, SGWASA hired engineering firm CDM Smith in July of 2023 to develop a PFAS pilot testing program. This program cost $500,000 to set up the PFAS pilot testing. The project was funded by a grant from NCDEQ and started in October last year of 2024 and will conclude later this fall in 2025. And the results from the PFAS pilot testing program will guide future engineering, design, and construction for equipment at the SGWASA Water Plant to meet those requirements for those MCLs that have been set for us by the U.S. EPA. So to keep SGWASA board and customers updated on the PFAS pilot testing program, I have this update for you. So turning the page, the PFAS pilot update summer of 2025. The PFAS pilot program at the South Granville Water and Sewer Authority Water Treatment Plant has been successfully operating for over 9 months. The pilot program evaluated 3 treatment media. This media is what is used to actually reduce your PFAS in your water. The products that we used as far as the treatment media included Calgon F400 granular activated carbon, also GAC, it's known by. We were testing DuPont Amberlite PSR2+, anionic exchange resin, or AER, and also Fluorosorb 200 novel sorbents, known as NS, short term. All media have effectively removed PFAS compounds with no breakthrough observed, meaning no PFAS detected above the EPA's maximum contaminant levels, or MCLs. A couple of key findings here, and then we'll pull up some charts. PFAS removal performance. All tested media consistently reduced PFOA and PFAS concentrations below EPA MCLs. SGWASA's current powdered activated carbon, or PAC, system helps reduce PFAS but is insufficient alone for compliance. So we've got some figures below for you on some charts, and maybe I'll have Chris present those to us this evening. As far as design flexibility, a pressure vessel contactor system is recommended to allow future media changes in response to evolving regulations and technologies. Once we review the 2 charts that we have here, I'll follow up with the recommendations and also provide project schedule highlights to the board of directors. So, Chris, maybe you want to guide us through what we see on screen here as far as our pilot. Discuss with them, if you would, the red line, above the red line, below the red line for us. Thank you.
So if you look at the chart, the red line that you see is the current MCL for PFAS and PFOA. It's set at 4 parts per trillion. And then the blue, call it the circles above that at the very top, that is the raw water concentration of PFAS and PFOA coming in. So that was PFOA specifically. So as you can see, raw water is well above the MCL. The black line that you see below that is the powder activated carbon that Scott referred to. Powder activated carbon initially, it gives benefits for PFAS and PFOA, taking those contaminants out or helping reduce those. That's not the original design of it. It was originally put in the plant for taste and odor as it relates to geosmin and any kind of organics. But there is the benefit that it actually reduces PFOA and PFAS. But even with the current levels of powder activated carbon that we have, it's still above the current NCL. Yes, sir.
Just for clarification, the lower line above the red one, the one that's black dotted line, that's actually the effluent coming from the filters from the from the water treatment plant. Is this going into our system?
This is a pilot study that we're doing, and so
Okay.
this is not actually going into the system that we have. This
So
is
this-
a pilot study that only, I'll have to look at the report, but I believe it's concentrations of 10,000 gallons per day, and treated water nor waste, I don't believe, is going into the water
Okay,
system.
so the filter effluent is basically mimicking the filter effluent of the plant. You know, with these pilot studies, I always reach the level of what they mimic what the plant's doing before they do the experiment.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So that, I guess that the triangles, the black triangles, as you see it coming out of the plant, it emulates what you see coming out of the plant. So as it stands, we are above the current MCL for PFOA. If you look at the lines below the red line, that one she has the cursor on, that one is GAC, GAC, and so that one sits below the MCL. The blue line that's there is fluorosorb, and then the combination of black, I guess it's black and green, is amberlite. So all three of the things that they're adding for PFOA destruction, all three of them are coming in below the MCL. And as Scott mentioned, we have not had what they call breakthrough. So none of the compounds have actually shown a breakthrough above the MCL. That's why we do the test to see which things that you can add, which ones have breakthroughs, which ones don't, the cost associated with it, because filter media eventually has to be replaced. And so you do this analysis to see how long it takes to break through, the cost associated with it, stuff like that. If you'll go to the next chart, Crystal. So this is PFOA concentrations again, very similar things. So raw water, this is PFOS. So raw water is the blue line at the top. The filter effluent, that's the with the addition of powder activated carbon. So you can see that we're still above the MCL, the red line at 4 parts per trillion. And then you see below that red line, you have GAC, and then you have the addition of the other two, fluorosorb and amberlite. So again, no breakthrough at this point, and all three chemicals that are adding are reducing it below the MCL. So that's a really good thing.
All right, thank you. If nothing further, please stay there. Don't move. Stay there in case there's other questions. So in terms of the overall recommendations at this point, based on the fact that the pilot study is doing so well and we have a grant for this project, instead of sunsetting this project, we would like to, recommending that we extend the pilot from 10 to 12 months to potentially observe media breakthrough and gather more data for life cycle cost analysis. And that's really the key at that point. One might say, looking at these charts, well, isn't it a no-brainer you would go with the combination of technologies at the lowest part here that provides the greatest headroom before you hit that MCL? there's a cost associated with all of those technologies. Not only a cost to install them and maintain them on a capital improvement on the front end, there's also a cost in terms of recharging those vessels, those containers as we move forward. So we're looking for that combination of materials that will provide us that longevity and also balance that with the cost at the initial part of the installation, as well as recharging this every 12 months, every 18 months, and forever, basically, along with the forever chemicals. So extending the pilot, I think, is a good recommendation by a consultant. It won't cost us any more to do that. It will just help us gather some more information and kind of round out the study for another couple of months. We're at the point where we now know what technologies will work for us with our water. And again, this was not just a bench test on chemicals on anybody's water. We were actually taking what we call post-filter. So this is our finished water that's coming out of our water plant that's going into these pilot vessels, these large test tubes, if you will. And we've been running these treatments during this pilot program. So we know the makeup, the chemistry makeup, the input of the water coming in, the water going out, and what will provide us with the best combination of PFAS and PFOA reduction here. So we're ready to begin detailed design of a system that can accommodate any of the 3 tested media. So that's the good news. We don't really need to select one. They're very common as far as the containers that they go in, the type of piping, the pumps, the whole configuration, which will ensure flexibility and regulatory compliance. So that's the good news. And I think that's something we've all been waiting for. When are we going to get some results from this pilot that actually tells us what we can use and when, and can we get started on the design? Because to remind the board, our due date for this project is in April of 2029. Currently, that's what the law says, that we have to be in compliance. So we're rushing to get this project built and installed. So just moving further down the page, a couple of project highlights. The project team has executed the project on time as defined on the schedule in the task order for the PFAS pilot testing. Completed milestones. We have a table of values there for you. I don't think there's anything really that needs to be talked about in that table of values, just to demonstrate how we've been able to maintain our target delivery dates and to be on schedule with this project, which is something that's very important for all of us. The tested media have performed above initial expectations, which is great. We already talked about extending this pilot from 10 to 12 months to yield more data and life cycle cost analysis. Forthcoming milestones, we have another chart on page 66. So we've got for the board in front of you on table 2 our pilot conclusion, some original target dates in August, now proposed for October of 2025. Begin design phase, we're basically ahead of schedule. That needs to be updated to show more or less August, September that we're starting to move in that direction. A draft pilot report following the conclusion of the pilot testing coming to the board or being available in December, and then a board presentation on pilot results, I would say December, January, coming in front of us. So the good news is we're moving very quickly on this project as we had hoped and planned for. I also want to remind the board that we do have some grant money available to us for this project as well, and that's something that we're going through as well, just to secure that money for this project. So more of that information will be brought to the Finance Committee meeting that we have on September 5th, and also to the board following that as we keep track with that. Again, this was just an informational update. No board action is necessary, and I'll just give Chris an opportunity to say, is there anything else that you would like to add to the presentation or the experience? I know you've been out to the water plant managing this project for us, so I greatly appreciate that, along with our team members, because I know that we're involved with this on a daily basis, taking numbers and providing it back to the consultant.
Yeah, team members have been directly involved with all this stuff. As you mentioned, the pressure vessels that are recommended for this whole project, we want to be, we want to be as flexible as possible to make sure we're making the right decisions. So pressure vessels will be designed accordingly to potentially accommodate additional media types if needed. So I think that's helpful.
Thank you.
Chris,
Yes, ma'am.
I think you just answered my question. I was going to ask you, design to build is going to be the same equipment for all 3 methodologies.
It is.
It's just a
that's the
matter
advantage.
of which methodology we use.
Yes, ma'am. That's the advantage of what we're doing here. We want to ensure that although the recommendation might be one technology, we want to make sure that we can accommodate multiple technologies if needed, or for cost, or if something's not available, or whatever the case is.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Any comments?
I'm ready to see this move forward. I definitely want to make sure that we are way ahead of schedule before the 2029 date.
I think we are. If we're reaching these milestones in 25, that's 4 years or 3 years. The end of 25 is definitely 3 years, and it's still up in the air as to whether or not the end date will be put off or moved up or, increased, decreased. We don't know what's going to happen in the near future, but we're planning and moving towards the target that we have, which is shown in the tables here tonight.
I agree with Commissioner Robert Way that we need, if we can check something off and we're comfortable with it, I think we need to move forward.